Can you use AG studs on indoor surfaces? Which boots have the best grip? And what's the best value football boot at $160 or less? These are some of the questions we're going to be answering in this Q&A. We're basically going to be going through some of the most frequently asked questions that I've seen over the past few weeks. And if you have any questions after watching this video, feel free to leave them below. And if you want to propose a topic as its own video, head over to my Patreon where you can join and make your own suggestion. So let's get straight into the questions. And the first question we have is, can I play with AG shoes indoor? And to this, I'm gonna have to lean towards no, because what I may have mentioned on a previous video is that AG football boots are actually gonna be closer to traditional FG boots than they are to indoor boots. So they are gonna have relatively aggressive, longer studs, and they're just not gonna generally be suitable for indoor surfaces. Because most places that you play indoor are gonna have a thin carpeted turf that's really, really hard and unforgiving. It almost feels like just rolling out carpet on top of concrete. That's how hard it is. And for a surface like that, you're generally gonna want to use either designated turf shoes that have shorter rubber textured elements, or just flat shoes. In fact, most times I play indoor, I'll usually just wear flat-soled shoes and I get just enough grip. In fact, some places have rules that you have to wear flat-soled shoes because they don't want you damaging their surface. All right, next question, should I get the Tequila V4 Pro Low Edition or the Puma Future Pro? Now this is a great question because these are two great football boots. Now my personal preference is gonna be the Tequila V4 Pro Low Edition. And technically that's actually a more premium football boot because that's gonna be the top of the line New Balance model, whereas the Puma Future Pro is actually gonna be a takedown. But in my opinion, just the build quality, the materials, and the overall comfort is gonna have a slight edge with the New Balance. And I just think it's a better deal overall because it's a top-end football boot, and the original retail for the Tequila V4 Pro Low is $220. But if you check now, you can easily find that model for around $180 or less. So it's not that much more expensive than the Puma Future Pro. So in my opinion, I would actually lean towards the New Balance. But on the other hand, if you're looking for a sock-like one-piece upper boot that has a little bit more stretch and probably a closer feel on the ball as well, the Puma Future Pro is gonna give you that. So at the end of the day, it's just gonna have to do with what you're looking for in your football boots. Next question is, what do you think about the Adidas X Speed Portals? So honestly, the Speed Portals, I don't really look on them that fondly at this point, especially now that the Crazy Fast has been released. I think that the Speed Portals were one of Adidas's probably one of their weakest releases as far as speed boots are concerned over the last 5 to 10 years, because the X Speed Flow that came before them was such a great football boot, and the Crazy Fast that's out right now is really solid as well, whereas the Speed Portal, it was more rigid than the Speed Flow that came before it. It was just a little bit more uncomfortable. I think it kind of was just a blip on the radar as far as speed boot releases from Adidas. And I definitely wouldn't recommend getting it now, especially since there's just so many better speed boot options on the market. The Crazy Fast from Adidas is better, and competitors like even the Puma Ultra Ultimate's gonna be better, and the Furon V7 from New Balance is better, not to mention the Vapor 15 from Nike as well. Next up, do you think the Adidas X Crazy Fast Plus will stretch enough to go a half size down, or is it better to go true to size? Okay, so this is gonna be a full synthetic upper football boot, and for me, I think this is gonna be a true to size football boot as well. So I'm a 10.5, and when I tried on the X Crazy Fast Plus, a 10.5 fit me perfectly. So that's what I would recommend you do. Also, you're gonna have a traditional lacing system with the X Crazy Fast Plus, so you're gonna have a lot of adjustability in that system as well. So you can almost make it as tight as you need it to. But keep in mind, I'm someone that likes to have about a centimeter or so, maybe a little less of room at the front of my football boot. That's just how I find it the most comfortable. You might like your football boots to fit a little bit closer, in which case a half size down could work. But in, I'd say 9 out of 10 cases, going true to size for the Crazy Fast Plus is gonna be the best option. All right, next up, can you discuss the differences between the Puma Future Ultimate and the Puma Future Pro? Okay, so that's gonna be pretty easy because these are two very, very similar football boots. The upper on both boots is, I'd say, almost identical. They're both gonna have that sticky power tape, and they have some textural elements towards the forefoot. However, the biggest difference is gonna be in the sole plate. I actually have the Puma Future Match here, which is the third takedown. but it has the same sole plate as the Puma Future Pro, which is the second takedown. And the Pro is gonna have these conical studs at the forefoot and some in the heel, whereas the Puma Future Ultimate is gonna have all sharper bladed studs that are gonna be really suitable for FG. But in terms of the overall fit and the comfort of the boots, the Puma Future Pro does, I'd say, just as good as any takedown model at feeling exactly the same as the premium version. So as far as fit, comfort, the overall style of the boot, they're very, very close to each other. Okay, what is your opinion on the Nike Mercurial Vapor 15 Academy? I've heard nice things about it. Yeah, I would believe that you've heard nice things about it because it is a great boot. It's one that I have reviewed on this channel. I think it's one of the better third tier takedown models from Nike that I've tried on in a long time. And when I first got that boot in, my expectations weren't really high for a third takedown of the Vapor 15 because I just get the sense that with those high-end speed boots, you really got to be spending a decent amount of money to get the quality that comes with them. But for just, I think it was $75 I paid for the Vapor 15 Academy, it was a really impressive football boot. The upper was so thin, it gave me such a close touch on the ball, and they were surprisingly comfortable. I think they were just as comfortable, in my opinion, as the Elite version that I tried on over a year ago. I think the biggest benefit to the Elite version was that it was a little bit more flexible in the upper and bunched up a little bit less when you walked. But in terms of the overall shape of the boot and the lockdown that you got, the Academy is really, really good. It, for me, rivals the Tiempo Legend 10 Academy as far as one of the best Nike takedown boots you can get. So I would definitely recommend it. And if you're interested in any of the boots we're discussing in this video, you can find links to pick them up in the description below. All right, this next question I'm a big fan of. It's, are boots durable if you play 50-50 on FG and AG? So essentially, how does the durability change if you play some on firm ground and some on artificial grass? And in my opinion, and in my personal experience playing on both surfaces over the years with various kinds of football boots, I don't think that the FG versus AG makes a huge difference in terms of durability. Now, I had the Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Pro, and that was an AG variation on the sole plate, and I played a lot on artificial grass, but I also played that boot a lot on FG. And I found that they lasted very well in general. The boots were pretty durable, and I played in them for well over a year, and I was playing frequently, so I'm talking at least 3 times a week. And eventually they started to fall apart due to some sole separation, but the biggest factor in durability between FG and AG, it's not going to be the playing surface, it's going to be how often you're playing. So if you are only playing 1 to 2 times a week, regardless of if you're on firm ground or artificial grass, your boots are going to last at least a season, unless they're really poor quality. They should last at least a season. But if you're playing 3 times a week or more, regardless of what surface you're on, it's going to take a toll on your boots, and you should probably expect them to last about less than a year. That's just how it goes. Next question, what about ASICs? So this is a great question as well. I have seen some ASICs models reviewed by other creators, and they look really cool. Unfortunately, here in the US, I have not really seen ASIC football boots for sale that often. They're typically really big in the running community here. So I owned a pair of ASICS running shoes, and they were great, very, very comfortable. So I would assume if that translates that they would also make great football boots. So if anyone else has experience wearing ASICS football boots and they have any recommendations, you can leave them below. And they're definitely ones I'd be excited to try on in the future. Is the grip on the New Balance Tequila V4 Pro any good? Honestly, yes. And I think that it's a slept on feature of this football boot. They have these really nice kind of embossed elements on the side of the boot. It's essentially just this rib texture that you get on the instep of the boot, right where you would want it for like curling a free kick or sending in a cross. And they don't really market that much when selling the boots, but they give you a lot of grip when you're hitting those kinds of strikes. I'd say they're obviously not going to be sticky like the Phantom GX. So if you want something that's really close to your feet when you're dribbling, the Phantom is going to be the best from Nike. But as far as getting spin on the ball, for hitting shots, for hitting free kicks, curved long balls, things like that, it's going to offer a lot of that texture that's going to give you more grip. And it's pretty similar to, I would say, the Predator, especially older Predators, and you could probably draw some parallels to the brand new Predator Elite that just came out. So yeah, although it's a matte finish football boot on the Tequila, you are going to get a decent amount of grip on those shots. Isn't the Puma Future Pro one of the best shoes, if not the best, for $160? It's a good football boot for $160, but honestly, at this point in time, you can find the Puma Future Pro for much less than $160. So that should be the full retail price of the boot. But if you search online, I think if you check the link in the description as well, I have to check the current price, but you should be able to find it for under $150, usually around that like $130 to $140 price range. You should be able to pick up a pair of the Puma Future Pros, and at that price, they're definitely a great value. Mizuno Morelia Neo 4 Beta or Mizuno Alpha, which one is better? So this is another great question because these are two solid football boots. And in my opinion, having reviewed both of these boots and tried on both of these boots, I personally prefer the Mizuno 4 Beta just because the Neo 4 Beta Elite, it has kangaroo leather that's really soft, really great in the toe box, and I love leather football boots. But also, I just find them a little bit more comfortable. They're more suitable for wider feet that I have. And I just think they're a more interesting boot as well. You can't really find another football boot that's exactly like the Neo 4 Beta. I like that it kind of combines leather and synthetic materials in a really unique way. The elasticated tongue and collar is really, really comfortable. Whereas the Mizuno Alpha, it's a great football boot, but I just think that it doesn't really stand out to me among other speed boots. Like, I don't think it's necessarily better than the Adidas X Crazy Fast. They're very, very similar, but I don't think it's necessarily better. I don't think it's much better than the Vapor 15. I don't think it does enough to differentiate itself in what's a very crowded speed boot market. So in my opinion, I just prefer the Morelia Neo 4 Beta. So that is going to do it for this video. If you've enjoyed, please like and subscribe. And also, if you have any other questions that you'd like me to address in a future video, please feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.